Pop music, to say the least, is at its peak again. Artists these days seem to be putting more effort into creating music that will never leave your radio. This competitiveness has pushed everyone to step up their game, and it's just been incredible to witness. Now, as you all may know, I am a K-pop channel, and so I will be talking about the K-pop side of things. But I'd like to expand my reach just a little bit today. Let's go beyond the K-pop circle to focus on a slightly bigger picture. And I mean idol music. What even is considered idol music? As far as I'm concerned, there isn't any proper definition for the term, but the general consensus is that idol music is basically pop music, just with a twist. And it's not with the music's genre or style itself, but rather the industry, and more specifically who sings these songs. Idol music is pop music performed by idols. But what differentiates idols from typical pop artists? Pop artists are essentially free to be themselves. What they present through their music and image is at the very least true to them, including the ups and downs. Idols, on the other hand, are more sugar-coated. The word idol means a person or thing that is greatly admired, loved, or revered. The industry revolves around the idea that idols are people you look up to, and most, if not all the time, are trained to look and act perfectly. Because apparently, life is full of sunshine and rainbows. But that isn't the main point of the video. I just needed to get that all clear so that we can focus on the topic at hand. As mentioned, pop music has been on a crazy streak lately, the idol industry included. It's always been huge, hasn't it? K-pop, J-pop, C-pop, these genres have long been significant in the pop music scene. However, the idea of idol groups has expanded so widely that you can now find them far beyond just the East Asian borders. So let's discuss it. The growth of the idol industry was always bound to happen. We just needed a bit of a push. Clearly, this began with K-pop and J-pop being the Adam and Eve of the idol genre. Although they share some similarities, there are distinctions between them. However, that's not my main point. What I want to convey is how they influenced each other, and how this joint sleigh eventually helped with the globalization of the genre. There's always been an effort to expand the idol group industry. In K-pop's case, although it is primarily based in Korea, there have been attempts to reach out beyond their land. A group like EXO is a predominantly Korean group, but there was a time when they tried to appeal to the Chinese market as well. EXO was once divided into two subunits, EXO-M for Mandarin and EXO-K for Korean. They also had Chinese members and released Chinese versions of their albums, which is something you don't usually see anymore. Although this approach didn't last long, it demonstrated that K-pop is not confined by geography or language. In the coming years, this concept will become even more prominent. Before K-pop gained its global fame now, its market was heavily concentrated within Asia, especially Japan. They've always been K-pop's largest market, which is why they are more favored over other countries. Standalone Japanese releases and multiple tours within Japan, clearly there's more effort being put there. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this relationship is the reason why there are noticeably more Japanese idols than other foreign ones, but I'd like to think it is. And I get it. If you're trying to get out there, might as well start with something comfortable. I know that foreign members in K-pop groups have always been a thing, but I'd say the biggest effort yet at the time was when JYP debuted twice with 4 out of 9 foreign members, 3 being Japanese and 1 being Taiwanese. JYP has always been leading when it comes to having foreign members, but this group was probably the most influential of all. Seeing TWICE's success demonstrated that a more diverse lineup could work, and sometimes could be even better. The Japanese have always loved K-pop, and seeing 1/3 of the group came from them most likely helped them feel even more connected. And that goes with every foreign idol that debuted before then. It didn't happen immediately, but slowly the industry became more open to the idea. These days, some of the biggest idols aren't even Korean, and that says a lot. Now obviously the next step was to have a non-Korean group, but of course that had its own rough start. Do y'all remember EXP Edition, that K-pop group full of white boys? Yeah, well, if you didn't know, back in 2017 we already had the first K-pop group with no Korean members. While they were essentially a failed project and are kind of an embarrassment to the K-pop genre, it was still an attempt. The creator of the group was only trying to answer some questions. Is it only K-pop if Korean people do it? How can we push K-pop? What limits are there? Sure, the product wasn't good at all, but it showed that interest was there, and eventually we were to arrive at our destination. But before we go there, let's talk about the J-pop side of the story. Like K-pop, J-pop has also strived to extend beyond its own language and country. While K-pop primarily focused on the familiar East Asian market, J-pop took a more ambitious approach, exemplified by the expansion of their 48G groups. It was one of the first instances of idol groups emerging outside of East Asia. Countries such as Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, and others got their first experience with home-based idol groups, marking the beginning of a broader trend. While on the topic of 48G, K-pop and J-pop have collaborated in the past to create a quote-unquote global girl group. Remember IZ*ONE? Although the initial aim to make an idol group that was equally promoted in both industries didn't succeed, we still saw J-pop trained idols try their hand at the Korean idol system. Though J-pop had influenced K-pop with its idol concept, K-pop has grown into its own self and bred its very own idol system. This is a big deal because what once was the inspiration now became the inspired. J-pop saw this and thought, if they can do it, we can too. Someone in Japan took the challenge seriously, because XG could very well be the best attempt at a K-pop-like group outside Korea. Yes, non-Korean K-pop groups exists, but most of them are made by Korean companies. XG, while still heavily influenced by K-pop and Korea, is created by a Japanese corporation, and isn't limited to just promoting within Japan and Korea. No other group of their kind has exhibited the same level of confidence and ambition as they do. I'd even argue that they surpass many K-pop groups, which is saying a lot. They are solid proof that this idol concept can thrive outside Korea without being mediocre. But if you were to ask me, there was still more to be done. The next step was to form a group with a more diverse mix of members, aiming for a truly global idol group that includes more than just East Asians. Blackswan is a notable example. Despite their complex history, I believed they had the potential to succeed. But perhaps no one was too interested, probably because they didn't come from a well-known company. There was also Kaachi, one of the first attempts at this idea, but I think we're better off without them. If we truly wanted a global group where people will pay attention, one that reaches the standard of K-pop and J-pop, it had to come from a bigger name. Eventually, it happened. It had to be HYBE among all the companies. They conducted a survival show featuring talent from around the world, and from that, the group KATSEYE was formed. It's still too soon to determine if they will be successful, but I wouldn't be surprised if they end up so. Just by having this debut happen, it's clear how far we've come. The idol group subgenre has evolved beyond language barriers, geography, and culture, which is likely why it will continue to grow even though it's already immense. To sum everything up, I'd like to conclude this whole topic with this one group. We've seen idols from various nationalities, heard idol music in different languages, and experienced high-quality production from these groups. They've all stood their mark and helped us get to this point. But now we truly see the result of everything that happened before. There have already been attempts to create Filipino idol groups based in the Philippines. SB19 was the first ever P-pop group, and MNL48 is the Filipino sister group of AKB48. While both groups achieved success in and even out of the country, they didn't fully capture the local essence. For me at least, they still felt somewhat foreign-made. I truly appreciate these groups a lot for what they've done, but they didn't seem as authentically Filipino as they could have been. SB19 was formed by a Korean company and aimed at appealing to the Korean market, while MNL48's 48G concept didn't quite resonate with Filipinos, and they were essentially a sister group to an already established one in Japan. And I get it, we all have to start from somewhere. Because like the history of idol music, one thing leads to a bigger thing. That brings us to BINI, which I consider not only the best P-pop group, but possibly one of the top idol groups in general right now. BINI is a pure Filipina girl group, formed by one of the biggest entertainment companies in the Philippines, produced by some of the biggest names, trained by the top Filipino artists, and that already sets them apart. They weren't immediately a big hit amongst Filipinos or even just idol stans, but they eventually did build themselves up slowly but surely. Here's the thing. Just like with the rest of the world, the Philippines has been in love with K-pop and idol culture as a whole. In fact, it's become so widespread here that it almost rivals our own entertainment industry and culture. And that's concerning. But that changed last year when BINI exploded onto the scene. And then it hit me. I knew Filipinos wouldn't abandon their own culture like that. We just needed something ours to be proud of, and BINI provided that. The best part? The rest of the world is here to witness it as well. To think that one of the hottest idol acts right now came from my country is something I couldn't be more proud of. Filipinos who were previously indifferent or skeptical about K-pop have come to love this group. I have friends who never cared for K-pop or even disliked it, but now I hear them sing along to their music. What was once a country where K-pop stars were considered the biggest idols now proudly labels BINI as the nation's girl group. And that is something I never thought would happen. I'm sure other countries out there are having a go at this idol thing too. And whether or not those groups become worldwide successful doesn't matter, because I know they'll eventually get there. Even though I'm not particularly a BINI stan, I still feel more connected with them than I do with other groups. I guess it really is this sense of pride and seeing myself in them. Even just the fact that they have songs in my mother tongue and have the world singing along touches something deep within me. You might not fully understand this feeling yet, but it's exactly why representation matters so much. If you think about it, idol music is a great showcase of diversity and representation. Now, am I implying that the answer to world peace is watching Inkigayo? Not in a billion years. But it is something. Idols are people you look up to, and having an idol who speaks like you, looks like you, and shares similar experiences, taking the big stage for the world to see, can be incredibly impactful. If this kind of representation already affects me and many others, imagine the positive influence it could have on younger people, or those who want to be seen. No matter who you are or where you came from, that is something we all need in our lives. Okay, bye.
CHERRY, good ingredients are hard to find.